Hello everyone, welcome to our Juventus Coaching YouTube channel. In this video, we will be going over 11v11 build-up to show what our teams will be doing when we have the ball in our defensive third, either in live possession or when we have it straight from a goal kick. In this video, we will be addressing the structure, some of the movements that different positions require, the positional shapes we want to highlight to our players, and the inside-outside relationship. To start with, let's look at the structure. In this case, we are in blue. We are set up with a back four, two wide fullbacks, two center backs. We have two center mids, a number 10, two wingers, and our striker, our number 9. 4-2-3-1 formation. You could also choose to play with a 4-3-3 this way. The only observation we have with that is this player needs to be really good. They need to dominate the game. They need to dominate the space of the field to be successful in build-up. So this might be a solution for you. Otherwise, we also suggest to play with two center mids so they can split the responsibility. We can have one more player, which means one more option effectively, and build up with a 4+2. Again, that might depend on your team, the level of your players, and the opponent that you are facing. If we look at the way that we are set up right now in a goal kick, you can see that there are two main elements we want to emphasize: width and depth. And these two principles are really key in being successful when we play out of the back to advance the ball into zone 2. Right now, we are providing width with our two fullbacks that are stretching the field with heels on the line. And we're also providing depth with our number 10 starting high, our midfielders starting high, our center backs being as deep as they can, so as to have good distances on a vertical line on the soccer pitch, which is what we refer to as depth. As we create width and depth, we also start to see spaces in between the lines that we want to get in and conquer. To be successful in building out of the back, we need to break lines of pressure and conquer the spaces in behind those lines of pressure. The more lines we break, the more spaces in between the lines we conquer, the easier we can go forward and play into zone 2 and eventually attack into zone 3. So make sure we're highlighting to our players how we create width, how we create depth, and those spaces in between the lines that we want our central players to occupy. If we look at some of the specifics in terms of positions and movements, first let's start with our center backs. As you can see, they are beginning to play as deep as they can, almost on the goal line. They can use the box as the reference, so they can be just outside the box. Why are they positioned here? If they are higher and we're faced with a high press that starts at the top of the box, as soon as they receive, they have pressure onto them right away. So if they are starting deep, almost on the goal line, they're buying themselves a few yards and a few extra seconds to scan the field, pick the pass, and see what's available. Our fullbacks are starting high, but they're not remaining high necessarily. If the ball gets played to the center back and this fullback decides to just go, our center back might be left without option, with the only solution to go long. Then we have to play the 50-50 ball. It gets messy. That's not something we want to do unless we're forced to. So the solution to that is, as the center back is receiving the ball, our fullback drops down the line to create a diagonal passing angle. If they're open, great. They can receive to feet, dribble forward, play forward, and we go up. If they're not able to receive, they are still playing a key role because they might be creating space in the middle. They might be creating space in behind them for us to use. So again, we have to make sure our fullbacks, the right back and the left back are making these movements up and down the line to create the appropriate passing angles for their center backs and their center mids. Let's look at our center mids here. As we talked about before, they are starting high. If the game progresses, we get more and more press, they can naturally just start pretty low. The problem with that, like you can see, is the lower they start, the more the opponent can squeeze us into our box, into our defensive third. Okay, so in this position, we will be squeezed and we're almost forced to play at the top of our box. So remind your center mids to start high. Even in the late stages of the game where they might be tired, just remind them, start high, provide that depth. Number 2, another detail for our center mids is they have to stay pretty narrow as they're creating that central overload. If they start to get too wide, they make the job of this player right here, these two players, pretty easy, because in this position, this player here, they're in a position to cover the pass out wide, and they're also marking their center mid. Same thing on this side. So by us having our center mids narrow, creating that central overload, we force the press to make a choice. They're either going to have to cover us in the middle to give us space on the outside, or if they choose to go to the outside, great, we have space in the middle. But that option, those two options, become available only if we start narrow and create that central overload. We cannot be dragged too wide as center mids. Last position that we're going to address is the number 10. Key player when we're trying to play out of the back with a high press. This player can be the one that moves ball side if there is space. They can be the one that, as the press gets higher and our players are marked, finds that space in between the line to receive, go forward, and attack. Again, they should find the space in between the lines, move ball side, and create some of the shapes that we are going to look at right now. So as you can see here, we wrote down positional shapes. And there are two main positional shapes that we want our teams to have an understanding of and create on the field so that they can be successful in dealing with the press. The first positional shape is a triangle. Pretty easy. Like we said here, for example, the center back has the ball. If our fullback and our center mid create a triangle, we can play in the middle, good. We can play out wide. Creating triangles will naturally give our team options to play out of the back. It doesn't have to be this side, it can be this side. We create the triangle. It can be here. We can create this triangle. Any moment that our players can positionally create a triangle, we already have options, left and right. The second shape that we want to highlight that we think is important when it comes to playing out of the back is the diamond. And the diamond is good for a few reasons. Let's say the ball is on this side. Again, fullback drops, center mid drops there. This midfielder gets a bit higher. If our number 10 creates a diamond here, you can see this is a diamond with the center back, the number 10 being the top of the diamond, and the fullback and the center mid being the two white players in that diamond shape. The diamond shape is good for two reasons. If they try to close the inside, the pass on the inside of the diamond, good. We have options to play to the outside of the diamond. Other way around, if they're closing the options on the outside of the diamond, we have the pass through. All right, and this applies to pretty much all parts of the field. The moment that we can create that positional diamond, here for example, again, they're covering the middle. Okay, we have the passes on the outside. They're covering the outside. We have the pass in the middle. So make sure you highlight these two spaces as you're working in the situationals to play out of the back. We can create triangles, we can create positional triangles, or we can create positional diamonds. And the creation of those positional shapes will naturally give players options to play out of the back and beat the press that will be playing against us. Last two things that we will be addressing in this video. First is the inside-outside relationship, which is something that we touched upon before. As we build out of the back, it is important that we use all 5 channels. If you're not sure what the 5 channels are, you can take a look at our mesocycle that explains into details the 5 channels of the field. But essentially, we have the white spaces, we have the half spaces, the central space, the other half space, and the other white channel. As we play out of the back to be successful in beating the press, we have to use and move the ball in between the channels. If we start to develop a build-up play that uses the white channels only, the teams that we'll be playing against, they will adjust and they'll cover those white passes. If we only use the central spaces, again, they will adjust. So a successful build-up uses both the inside and the outside in a relationship. For example, if we play the first pass to the middle that draws pressure in the middle, naturally we create a space out wide to go out wide with the third man. This can be done the other way around. The ball gets played out wide, drawing pressure in to then find the middle. Okay? So here we see both the inside-outside relationship, playing out to go in or playing in to go out, using the 5 channels to find the space to get out the press. And of course, these kind of patterns are done with the third man principle. For example, the third man principle, if you don't know what that is a tool that we can use on a soccer field using a teammate, using a player to get to someone who's not free in that moment but will have space to advance the ball and move forward. For example, the ball is here. This fullback cannot receive because they're in the shadow of this red player. But if we go to a second man to get to the third man, this player now can receive, has space to go forward. So it's using a second option to go to a third player that is free to receive the ball and go forward. That is why this player is called the third man. Okay? And we can find the third man in many relationships. We can have second man to go to the third man to go forward, etc. But again, we can highlight to be successful in building out of the back the relationship between the inside and the outside and the 5 different channels that we want to use. Playing inside to draw the pressure in and go out to then find the space out wide, or we play outside to then go in and find the space inside. But we have to be able to use both. Otherwise, teams are going to have a very easy time adjusting to the way we play out of the back. Okay? So again, the inside-outside relationship and the importance of the third man in our 11v11 build-up play. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you in another video soon. Thank you.